Bong Farm, Poplar, Wisconsin, fall 1941, dawn. The sun rises slowly over the wheat fields. The land is flat, endless. The wind carries the smell of hay and wet earth. In the distance, a white wooden house, simple, honest, American. A boy watches the sky. He's not a boy anymore. He's 20 years old, but his eyes still hold that wild curiosity of childhood, the same that made him chase after toy planes made of wood and nails. Richard Ira Bong. Son of Swedish farmers, hands calloused from farm work, but his head lives in the clouds. He watches a bird cut through the air in a straight line, effortless, fearless, and he thinks, I can do that. Not like the bird, better than the bird. Hamilton Field, California, spring 1941, day. The roar is deafening. Allison V-1710 engines, twin raw power cutting through the air like invisible blades. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning glides down the runway. Elegant, deadly, untamable. Bong is inside it. His first solo flight in America's most dangerous fighter. 2 engines, 2 tail booms, center cockpit, a machine designed to kill, or to kill whoever dares to fly it. He accelerates. The control tower screams over the radio. Bong, you're cleared for routine patrol only. I repeat, routine. But Richard Bong was never a routine man. The P-38 climbs, too fast, too steep. He inverts, dives. Speed increases, 400 mph, 450, 480. The metal vibrates. The wings tremble. The structure groans like something alive about to break apart. And then, with surgical precision, he levels the aircraft just feet above the ground. Over Market Street, in San Francisco, people on the street freeze. Look up. See the metallic shadow of 2 tons of steel cutting through the space between buildings. The sound is a horizontal thunder. Bong smiles inside the cockpit. He doesn't see rules. He sees possibility. General Kenny's office, Luke Field Base, Arizona, night. A telephone rings. The voice on the other end is furious. General George C. Kenny listens in silence. His expression doesn't change. He knows this type of pilot. He's seen dozens. Most die young. Brilliant, impulsive, dead, but some become something greater. Kenny hangs up the phone, lights a cigarette, looks out the window at the training field illuminated by moonlight, and murmurs to himself, either I destroy this kid, or he destroys the Germans. War is coming, and Richard Ira Bong, rebel, reckless genius, is about to discover that talent without discipline isn't heroism, it's suicide. The distant roar of a P-38 engine dissolves into silence. Luke Field Base, Arizona, summer 1941. The heat rises from the tarmac in visible waves. The air smells of aviation fuel, hot metal, and something else. The sharp scent of discipline being forged under the desert sun. Richard Bong stands at attention in General Kenny's office. His uniform is crisp, but his posture betrays a barely contained restlessness. He's been grounded for 3 days, 3 days that feel like 3 years. Kenny doesn't look at him immediately. He's reading a file, Bong's file. Pages of flight school records, instructor notes, incident reports. The pattern is clear. Exceptional skill. Dangerous judgment. Do you know why you're still here, Lieutenant? Kenny's voice is calm, almost conversational. Bong hesitates. No, sir. Because I asked them not to discharge you. Kenny finally looks up. His eyes are sharp, measuring. You flew a P-38 through downtown San Francisco at 200 feet. You violated every regulation in the book. You could have killed civilians. You could have killed yourself. Silence. But you didn't lose control for a single second, did you? Bong meets his gaze. No, sir. Kenny closes the file. Talent like yours is rare, Lieutenant, but talent without purpose is just noise. Beautiful, dangerous noise. He stands, walks to the window. The Japanese have pilots with 10 years of combat experience, veterans who've been fighting in China since you were in high school. They're disciplined, they're precise, and they're winning. He turns back to Bong. I can't send cowboys to fight samurai. I need something else. I need pilots who understand that every maneuver, every decision, Every breath in that cockpit is calculated. The P-38 isn't a toy, Lieutenant. It's a weapon. And weapons don't forgive mistakes. I understand, sir. No, you don't. But you will. Hamilton Field, California. Fall 1941. The P-38. Lightning sits on the flight line like a predator at rest. 42 feet of aluminum and fury. Bong circles it slowly, his hand trailing along the smooth metal skin. This is his third week of intensive training under Kenny's direct supervision. No more stunts, no more improvisation, just fundamentals, physics, aerodynamics, the brutal mathematics of air combat. Major Thomas Lynch, an experienced instructor, stands beside him. She's a beauty, Lynch says. She's also a killer, not just of the enemy, of us. Bong looks at him questioningly. Compressibility, Lynch explains. In a high-speed dive, the controls lock up. The air becomes solid. Pilots have died trying to pull out. The plane just keeps going down. Bong nods slowly. He remembers the dive over San Francisco, the way the stick fought him. The moment when control became negotiation. So how do we beat it? He asks. Lynch smiles. We don't beat it, Lieutenant. We respect it. We learn its limits. We stay inside them. Over the Mojave Desert, December 1941. Bong is alone at 18,000 feet. The sky is impossibly blue. Below, the desert spreads like crumpled brown paper. His mission, controlled high-speed dives, push the aircraft to the edge of compressibility. Feel where the machine stops being a tool and becomes a coffin. He rolls inverted, points the nose down. The altimeter unwinds like a broken clock. 12,000 feet. The speed builds. 10,000. The airframe shudders. 8,000. The controls stiffen. 6,000. His arms strain against the stick. It barely moves. This is the moment. This is where pilots die, fighting the machine, fighting physics, fighting inevitability. But Bong doesn't fight. He waits. 4,000 feet. He reduces throttle slightly. Deploys dive flaps. Gentle, incremental. 3,000. The pressure eases. The controls respond. 2,000. He pulls back. Firm, smooth, patient. The P-38 levels out at 1,500 feet. The G-force presses him into his seat. His vision tunnels. But he's alive, and he's learned. Luke Field, Kenny's office. Night. Kenny reviews the flight data. Bong's dive profiles. His recovery times. The precision of his control inputs. He lights another cigarette and stares at the numbers. The boy from Wisconsin is becoming something else. Something the war will need. Outside, the sound of engines fills the night. Dozens of P-38s. Training. Preparing. December 7th is 3 days away. Everything is about to change. The engine's roar becomes a promise of discipline, of power, of war. Port Moresby, New Guinea, September 1942. The jungle breathes. Hot, wet, suffocating. The air is thick with the smell of rotting vegetation, aviation fuel, and fear. Port Moresby is less a base than a wound carved into the rainforest, a strip of mud and coral where American fighters cling to existence. Richard Bong has been in the theater for 2 weeks. He hasn't fired his guns in combat yet. He will today. The briefing room is a tent with wooden benches and a map pinned to plywood. Major Lynch points to the Owen Stanley Range with a stick. Japanese bomber formation, Betty bombers with 0 escorts, coming over the mountains at 12,000 feet. Our job, intercept before they reach the harbor. Bong listens. His hands don't shake, but something inside him does. Remember, Lynch adds, looking directly at Bong, the Zeros are faster in turns, more maneuverable. Their pilots have been doing this since 37. You try to dogfight them, you die. Use your speed. Use your altitude. Dive, shoot, climb, never stay to fight. Bong nods. The theory is simple. The reality, he suspects, will be different. Over the Coral Sea, 14,000 feet. Noon. The sky is endless, brilliant blue, bleeding into white clouds. Below, the ocean glitters like broken glass. Bong's P-38 is fourth in the formation. His hands rest lightly on the controls. The twin Allison engines hum their steady song of power. Then Lynch's voice crackles over the radio. Bandits. 2 o'clock high. Count 9 Bettys. 15 zeros. Bong's heart hammers. He scans the sky. At first, nothing. Then, small dots against the clouds. Growing larger. The formation of enemy aircraft moves with geometric precision. Practiced. Professional. Lethal. Attack approach, Lynch commands. Maintain altitude advantage. Pick your target. 1 pass. The P-38s climb. 15,000 feet. 16,000. The air grows thin, cold. Bong's breathing is loud inside his oxygen mask. His thumb rests on the firing button. 4 50 caliber machine guns and 1 20mm cannon, all concentrated in the nose. No convergence point to worry about. Just aim and fire. The Zeros see them. They break formation, climbing to intercept. Now, Lynch dives. Bong follows. The P-38 accelerates like a falling stone. The speed builds. 350, 400, 450 mihi hangsimpei. The wings sing with strain. A Betty bomber fills his gun sight. Massive. Vulnerable. He can see the rising sun painted on its fuselage. His training takes over. Lead the target. Calculate deflection. Smooth pressure on the trigger. The guns roar. Tracers arc through space. Metal tears. Smoke erupts from the Betty's left engine. Bong doesn't watch it fall. He's already climbing. Full throttle. Using the P-38's twin engines to claw back altitude. A Zero crosses his path. Too fast. No shot. Another P-38 isn't as lucky. Bong sees it. A brief flash of fire, a spinning trajectory, then nothing. Gone. Someone he ate breakfast with 3 hours ago. The combat lasts 7 minutes. It feels like 7 hours. Port Moresby. Evening 6 P-38s took off. 5 returned. Bong sits on the wing of his aircraft. His hands are steady now, steady and empty. Lynch approaches, sits beside him, says nothing for a long moment. "You did well," he finally offers. Bong looks at the jungle. Harrison didn't come back. No, he didn't. Silence. The jungle sounds resume. Insects, birds, the distant rumble of generators. He tried to turn with them, Lynch says quietly. Tried to be a hero. Bong understands. The lesson is brutal and clear. In war, survival requires not courage, but calculation. Not heroism, but discipline. He thinks of the Betty bomber, the smoke, the fall. Somewhere in that burning metal were men, like him, unlike him. War has stopped being theoretical. The engines cool, the guns fall silent, the sky remembers everything. Dobodura Airfield, New Guinea, March 1943. The scoreboard stands beside the operations tent, names painted in white, numbers beside them, victory tallies. Bong's name has climbed to the top, 16 confirmed kills. He doesn't look at it anymore. The other pilots do. They study him during briefings. Watch how he checks his aircraft. Notice the way he plans each mission with mathematical precision. Some admire him, others resent him. Most simply wonder how he's still alive. The P-38 with Marge, painted on its nose, sits apart from the others. The artwork is simple. His fiancée's name in elegant script, her face rendered in profile. A reminder that somewhere beyond this jungle, hell, beyond the killing, there's another world. A world worth returning to. Over the Bismarck Sea, 22,000 feet at afternoon. Bong has developed a method. Others call it a system. He calls it survival. Altitude is life. He always climbs higher than doctrine requires. 22,000 feet, 25,000. Where the air is thin and the enemy rarely looks, patience is power. He watches, waits, studies the enemy formations for weaknesses. The straggler, the damaged aircraft limping home, the pilot who breaks formation too early. Speed is escape. The P-38's twin engines give him an advantage the Zeros can't match in a straight line. He dives, shoots, climbs, never lingers, never engages in the turning fight where Japanese pilots excel. Today, he sees them. A flight of 4 Zeros escorting a reconnaissance aircraft. They fly in tight formation, disciplined, confident. Bong is alone, 5,000 feet above them, invisible against the sun. He rolls inverted, points the nose down. The dive begins. The airspeed indicator climbs 400, 450, 480 km/h. The controls grow heavy. The entire aircraft vibrates with barely contained violence. At 300 yards, he fires. The tracers reach out like fingers of light. The rearmost Zero disintegrates, wing separating, fuselage tumbling, fire blooming. Bong doesn't watch. He's already pulling up. Maximum power. The G-force crushes him into his seat. His vision narrows. But the P-38 climbs, and climbs and climbs. The remaining Zeros search frantically. But he's already gone. Back to altitude, back to patience, back to safety. Dobadura. Evening. Major Lynch finds him in the maintenance area. Bong is reviewing the gun camera footage with the armorers, frame by frame, analyzing his shooting, the angle, the deflection, the mistakes. 17, Lynch says. Bong looks up. Sir. 17 confirmed. You're the top scorer in the 5th Air Force now. Bong nods slowly, returns to the footage. Lynch watches him. This isn't the reckless kid who buzzed San Francisco. This is something else, something refined by fire into pure function. The other pilots, Lynch says carefully, they're starting to call you the ace of aces. They can call me whatever they want, Bong replies without looking up. Doesn't change the job. Lynch leaves him there, alone with his machines and his methods. Bong's tent, midnight by lantern light. Bong writes a letter to Marge. His handwriting is careful, deliberate. The plane flies well. The weather is bad. I miss you. He doesn't write about the killing, doesn't mention the names on the scoreboard, doesn't describe the way metal tears or men fall. He writes about the sky, about coming home, about a future that feels more distant with each mission. Outside, the jungle whispers. Somewhere, engines warm up for the dawn patrol. The war continues, the numbers climb, and Richard Bong becomes less a man and more a legend, precise, deadly, untouchable, alone. The sky keeps score. The silence keeps secrets. Tacloban Airfield, Leyte, Philippines, October 1944. The scoreboard has been repainted. The numbers beside Bong's name now read 40 confirmed kills, the highest of any American pilot in any theater, higher than anyone in Europe, higher than the legends of the previous war. Richard Bong is 24 years old. General Kenny stands beside him on the airstrip, watching mechanics service the P-38. The general's hair has grayed considerably since that first meeting in Arizona. The weight of command, the weight of sending young men to die. I'm grounding you, Kenny says quietly. Bong turns to him, stunned. Sir, effective immediately. You're too valuable. The press loves you. The public needs you. You're worth more alive as a symbol than dead as a statistic. General, my squadron will continue without you. Kenny's voice is firm but not unkind. You've done enough, Richard. More than enough. It's time to go home. Bong looks at his P-38. At Marge it's painted on the nose. At the 40 small Japanese flags below the cockpit. Each one a kill, each one a man. With respect, sir, I'm not ready. Kenny studies him. That's exactly why I'm sending you home, because you're not ready to stop. Over Borneo. November 1944, unauthorized flight. Bong isn't supposed to be here. He's supposed to be in Brisbane, preparing for his return to the States. Medal ceremonies, war bond tours, parades. Instead, he's at 28,000 feet over the Borneo jungle, flying cover for a B-24 bomber formation hitting Japanese oil refineries. The mission was undermanned. The squadron needed experienced pilots. Bong volunteered, ignored orders, took off before anyone could stop him. Below, the bombers drop their payload. Black smoke rises like funeral pyres. Anti-aircraft fire fills the sky with deadly flowers of shrapnel. Then they appear, 12 Zeros, diving from the sun. The bomber formation breaks, scattered, vulnerable. Bong doesn't hesitate. He dives into the attack, his P-38 screaming downward at nearly 500 miles per hour. His guns flash, a Zero explodes, another spins away, trailing smoke. The Japanese formation breaks. confused. They've learned to fear the twin-boomed silhouette. The bombers escape. All of them. Every crew. Every man. Because Richard Bong couldn't stay home. Brisbane headquarters. Kenny's office. Night. The general doesn't yell. That would be easier. Instead, he sits behind his desk, hands folded, looking at Bong with something close to sadness. You saved those crews, Kenny says. I won't deny that. But you also defied a direct order. You risked the life of America's greatest fighter ace for a single mission. Those men needed... I know what they needed. Kenny's composure cracks. I know because I'm the one who sends them up there. Every day, every mission. I send boys to die because that's war. But you... He stops. Breathes. You're not just another pilot anymore, Richard. You're a symbol. And symbols don't belong in combat. They belong on posters. Bong says nothing. You're going home, Kenny continues. That's final. You'll marry Marge. You'll do the war bond tour. You'll be the hero America needs you to be. And if I don't want to be a hero... Kenny looks at him for a long moment. Then you should have stopped at 39. Tacloban, Bong's final flight, December 1944. The P-38 sits on the tarmac, waiting. 40 kills, hundreds of missions, 2 years of war. Bong walks around it one last time. His hand traces the painted letters. M-A-R-G-E. The mechanics watch respectfully. The other pilots salute. He climbs into the cockpit, starts the engines. The familiar roar, comforting, powerful, final. The P-38 lifts off, climbs into the Philippine sky, circles the base once, then turns east, toward home, toward Marge, toward a future where the war is a memory and the killing is over. But as he flies, Richard Bong understands something he'll never speak aloud. He was never more alive than in those moments of calculated violence, never more himself than when the sky was his and death was measured in deflection angles. The hero returns, but part of him remains forever at altitude, hunting, waiting, alone. Glory is a cage. Fame is a sentence. The sky remembers who you were. Burbank, California, Lockheed Air Terminal, February 1945. The war in Europe is ending. The Pacific Theater grinds toward its bloody conclusion. But Richard Bong is no longer part of it. He wears a civilian suit now, works for Lockheed as a test pilot. The transition from warrior to engineer feels like learning to breathe different air. The P-80 Shooting Star sits in the hangar like a vision from another century. No propellers, no pistons, just a single jet engine, a turbojet that screams instead of roars. Sleek, fast, alien. This is the future of aviation, the future of war. Bong circles it slowly, studying the lines. Everything about it is different from the P-38. The cockpit sits further forward. The control surfaces are smaller. The engine responds with milliseconds of delay, not the instant throttle response of a piston engine. Beautiful, isn't she? The Lockheed engineer beams with pride. Bong nods. But something feels wrong. The machine is too clean, too perfect, too far removed from the oil-stained, battle-scarred fighters he knew. He married Marge 3 months ago. A small ceremony in Wisconsin. The farm boy and his girl. The newspapers covered it. The photos went everywhere. America's ace and his sweetheart. She worries about him. He can see it in her eyes when he leaves for the airfield each morning. She didn't survive the war just to lose him to a test flight. It's safer than combat, he tells her. But they both know that's not the same as safe. Burbank Airfield, August 6, 1945, morning. The day is clear. Perfect flying weather. Bong arrives early, reviews the test flight plan. Engine performance checks. Landing gear operation. Basic handling characteristics. Routine. He suits up, parachute, flight gear, helmet. The ritual is the same, but the machine is different. The P-80's canopy closes over him. The cockpit smells of new paint and unfamiliar materials. No oil, no cordite, just sterile engineering. The jet engine spools up, not a roar, a shriek, high-pitched, urgent. The sound of the future arriving too fast. Bong advances the throttle. The aircraft accelerates. Smooth, fast. Faster than anything he's flown. The wheels leave the ground at 140 MAPA. The climb rate is exceptional. Within seconds, he's passing through 500 feet. Then the engine coughs, a small sound, almost insignificant. But Bong knows engines the way a surgeon knows heartbeats. That sound means death. The instruments confirm it. Fuel pressure dropping. Engine temperature spiking. The jet is dying. He has altitude, not much. Maybe 800 feet. Enough for a bailout. The procedures are clear. Jettison the canopy, release the belts, roll inverted, fall free. But the P-80 is falling toward a residential neighborhood. Houses, families, children playing in yards. Bong makes a decision. He stays with the aircraft, tries to nurse it away from the homes, tries to find empty ground, a field, a street, anything. 600 feet. The engine quits completely. The shriek dies to silence. 400 feet. The P-80 glides like a brick. He can see a woman hanging laundry, a child on a bicycle. 200 feet. He finally pulls the ejection handles. Too late, far too late. The parachute blossoms. Beautiful, white. Useless. The P-80 shooting star impacts the ground at 180 mph. The fuel tanks rupture. Fire consumes everything. Richard Ira Bong dies instantly. 24 years old, 40 victories. Husband of 200 days. The man who mastered the skies of war is defeated by the machine of peace. Radio announcement. That evening. Today, August 6, 1945, two major events. Major Richard Bong, America's ace of aces, was killed in a test flight accident in California. Also today, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. The old war ends. The new war begins. And the sky claims its greatest hunter on the same day humanity learned to break atoms. Some heroes die in battle. Others die building the future. Both die alone. Richard Y. Bong Veterans Historical Center, Superior, Wisconsin, present day. The museum is quiet, respectfully so. Sunlight filters through tall windows, illuminating the exhibits like relics in a cathedral. A restored P-38 Lightning hangs from the ceiling. Twin booms, twin engines. The name Marge, still visible on the weathered nose. 40 small Japanese flags painted beneath the cockpit. Each one a story. Each one a life. Visitors walk slowly beneath it. Children point upward. Veterans pause, remembering. The young stop to read the plaques, trying to understand a war that feels like ancient history. An elderly woman stands alone before a photograph, black and white. A young pilot in leather jacket, confident smile, eyes that hold something between innocence and infinite sadness. Richard Ira Bong, 1920-1945. The woman is in her 90s now. Marge Bong remarried years ago. Built a life, raised a family, but she comes here sometimes to remember the boy from Wisconsin who loved the sky more than anything, except, perhaps, her. She touches the glass gently. "You always flew too fast," she whispers. Ace of aces. The display tells his story in fragments. Medal of Honor citation, flight logs, letters home, gun camera footage frozen in grainy photographs. A young Air Force pilot stands reading. His uniform is different from Bong's, modern, digital camouflage, but the wings on his chest carry the same meaning. He studies the tactical diagrams, Bong's altitude tactics, his deflection shooting techniques, his discipline. "Everything I learned at flight school," the pilot tells his companion, "came from this guy. We still teach his methods. Energy retention, patience, precision." His companion, a civilian, looks skeptical. But why is he famous? 40 kills. There were pilots with more in other wars. The pilot shakes his head. It's not about the numbers. It's about how he did it. No wasted motion. No unnecessary risk. He treated air combat like mathematics. And he survived 2 years in the Pacific when the average life expectancy was 6 weeks. Until he didn't survive. Yeah. The pilot looks at the photograph. Finish until the machine outpaced the man. The Memorial Garden, evening. The sun sets over Lake Superior, orange and gold bleeding into purple, the same sky Bong watched as a boy. A granite stone marks the memorial. Major Richard Ira Bong Medal of Honor, America's Ace of Aces. 40 victories, 1920-1945. He flew with precision, fought with discipline, and died building the future. The wind carries the sound of distant aircraft, modern jets, faster than sound. Beyond anything Bong could have imagined. But the principle remains the same. Man and machine, locked in partnership, each pushing the other toward perfection, each dependent on the other for survival. Bong understood that better than anyone. He mastered the P-38 not by dominating it, but by respecting it. He won 40 battles not through recklessness, but through patience. He became a legend not by seeking glory, but by pursuing perfection. And when the machine finally defeated him, it wasn't the P-38 he knew. It was the future he helped create. The war ended. The engines fell silent. The heroes came home or didn't. But the sky remembers. Every pilot who climbs into a cockpit carries the legacy of those who came before. The discipline, the precision, the understanding that talent without respect is suicide, and glory without sacrifice is empty. Richard Bong's sky is gone. The P-38s are museum pieces. The war is history, but his silence speaks louder than any engine ever roared. In the mathematics of air combat, in the doctrine of energy tactics, in the careful respect for machines and limits, there he lives forever. The sky called him once, made him legendary, then took him home, and in that silence he became eternal. The sky remembers everything. The silence preserves it all.